It's just after 6 a.m. I'm getting ready to go to my workout, and I'm only really able to get up at this time because I started setting simple systems that allow me to actually reach my goals and do the things I want to do. Like, I really want to be in bed right now. But since then, I've become a morning person. I almost never miss a workout because I actually like going. And these systems even help me pay off 6 figures of debt and start building my wealth today. So in this video, I want to take you through the 5 simple systems that have glowed up my entire life. And I really hope they give you some inspo if you've been struggling to reach some of your own goals lately. Okay, I'm gonna be late, let's go. Starting with system number 1, and that's avoiding the consequences of your own actions. Yes, you heard me right, because right now the consequence of my own action on failing would be, I'd be, disappointed in myself. But actually that's never really stopped me in the past. So the other consequence of my action that I want to avoid is wasting money. And that's because I've been doing small group personal training for the last 3 years, and it is not cheap. So even though my workouts are my favorite part of the day, and I usually don't need a lot of motivation to go these days, there's still a lot of mornings where that isn't enough. At least not enough to get out of bed. So on those days, I don't rely on motivation. Instead, I rely on the fact that on those days, I'm paying a lot of money just to stay in bed. And I hate wasting money more than I hate waking up early, so we go. And the cool thing about implementing the system is now that I work out in the morning, I have more time in my evenings. They're actually free. All these good consequences of building that system and actually becoming a morning workout person when I didn't initially want to be. I don't know how many I did. All because I didn't want to waste money by skipping the gym, but that system ended up building a routine that makes me feel amazing. And that's the real point here. Systems aren't really about motivation. They're about designing your life so the version of you who doesn't feel like showing up actually still does. And if all else fails, just bring a friend. So once I figured out how well systems can actually work in your life to help you achieve your goals and actually do the things that you want to do, I wanted to start implementing systems wherever I could. Which brings me into system number 2, and that is making the lazy choice the right one. Or at least the choice that you want to make. And I started to implement this with my food because, for a long time, I was pretty lazy with it. In terms of eating healthy and in ways that actually made me feel my best anyway, because I'm lazy. For example, before I went a little bit more full-time with creating content, I worked full-time in healthcare and did my content on the side. And in order to get it all done, I would sacrifice my food a lot in the sense of I would skip on meal prepping, I wouldn't prepare food for myself, and I would just rely on takeout and fast food all the time to sustain me. And I didn't feel my best. I felt really sluggish. I felt kind of puffy and bloated all the time. I just didn't really feel good about myself. And I was kind of getting tired of sacrificing that part of my life in favor of just getting more work done. So I found I needed to create another system around meal prep. And this doesn't have to be complicated at all. I used to think that I needed to spend my entire Sunday meal prepping and making meals for the entire week. That just never really worked for me because by the time Friday came around, that week-old chicken and broccoli thing just giving me the absolute ick. So I simplified it. I cook basically every other day, but just make extra. And I make just enough so that we can have dinner that night and then enough for a lunch the next day. We made this beef last night. It's just got a bunch of taco seasoning on it, onions, garlic, whatever. And this morning I'm making an egg breakfast burrito. Because if you want to make a habit stick, you have to make it easy. Because when there's food already ready in the fridge, then it ends up just making the lazy choice the right choice. If food's already sitting there ready for me to eat, then I'm gonna eat that instead of paying extra money to order takeout. And what I love too is that you don't really get sick of the food because there's not too many days worth of leftovers that you have to worry about wasting. So it works really well. And that's what I realized is kind of the whole point when it comes to building habits. You're not trying to force your way into being super disciplined or flex that. You just have to kind of create little systems that work for you that help design your daily life so your habit just starts to happen by default. I am so hungry, let's eat. This is what I'm having. It is a jalapeno tortilla with some spinach, some eggs, some ground beef with taco seasoning and sriracha, and then 2 kiwis. And yes, I do eat them with the skin on. It's okay, you can do it. Tastes fine, and it's extra fiber. Okay, now that we are clean, this next system Took me a long time to figure out, let me tell you. But I will tell anyone about it who will listen, and I mean repeatedly, because it has probably been the #1 system that has changed the way I shop, the way I spend money, and the way I save money. And that is basically doing anything I can to create some friction before I buy anything. So the first part of this system is to get dressed every day, which we just did, and I feel fab. I love my outfit. I love wearing my clothes. It is awesome. I can't do my hair while wearing a blazer. This needs to be in reverse, one sec. Not just like throwing things on, although, you know, sometimes that's all you have kind of the brain power to do. But when I get dressed intentionally and make an effort to wear the clothes I already own, it reminds me of what I already have. And it really has helped slow down that kind of needless, mindless impulse buying that I used to do all the time. And I feel like that is the missing step a lot of the time when we are shopping. We're so concerned with buying the actual thing itself rather than the using of it, and that becomes the harder part. But in order to effectively use what you already own, you have to slow down the buying part. And paradoxically, I feel like the buying part is what actually slows down the more you use what you have and create these systems of friction. And in 2026, I want to actually take this system a little bit further. So not only am I going to continue to implement my rule of wish listing, waiting, all of that kind of stuff, but I want to slow down my shopping even more by doing it exclusively in person as much as I can. If systems are all about helping you build good habits or break bad ones, then this new system of shopping in person when I do actually want something new is going to help me create even that much more friction when it comes to shopping. Because I've been paying pretty close attention to how I shop, what triggers me, what makes me feel tempted, and I'm primarily an online shopper. I did shop in person in 2025 a little bit more, but I still definitely exclusively shopped mostly online. There's definitely room for me to grow and improve in that habit. But I just find whenever I shop online, I almost like hyper fixate on an item, and I feel like I just can't get relief until I actually buy it. And I think it's because I want to see it, feel it, try it on. I want to see if it's actually kind of worth it. And I feel like online merchandising also, like, they present the product in a way that almost romanticizes it a little bit more, and it just makes you feel even that much more tempted to buy it, and it gets me. But last year when I found myself actually shopping in person, I just found like it's so much more calm. I can actually touch the clothes, I can feel them, I can see it, and I also, really importantly, I need to make time to be able to go. And I'm busy. When I have downtime, I'd rather be spending that time at the gym or spending it with Jeff or with family. So it really means I have to find the time to go shopping, and if I want to squeeze that in, I better be serious about it. Versus shopping online, which is so friction-free and so easy to do passively, and it's very easy to fall into that trap. I really want to make the effort to slow down the amount of opportunities that I create for myself to actually go shopping. This system in particular, it's not really about never buying anything. I'm not about that. It's something that we can enjoy as opposed to something that we do to kill time or find ways to make ourselves feel better. I don't want to use shopping as a tool for that. So creating friction and relying on these little systems, I think has really helped me create a much healthier relationship with shopping that I feel like I was trying to build the entire time, but just didn't really know how. I don't think we need the necklace. I think we're good. And you know what? Since we're on the topic of budgeting, spending money, all of that good stuff, I want to tell you about this next system that when I started doing it was such a game changer. And that's basically budgeting to be bad so I can stop forcing myself to be good. Budgeting is something that I have been doing pretty much every single day of my life since 2019, when I first committed to paying off my over $120,000 of student loan debt and overcoming a shopping addiction that was keeping me broke. At the time, I had no idea how to manage my money, and one of the first things everybody said to do was to start budgeting. And straight up, it's legit advice. I started learning about how much I earned, how much it cost to live my life, and most importantly, how much I was spending. And I looked at my budget the way I think most people do, and that was through a majorly restrictive lens. At the time, especially when I was trying to really aggressively pay off my debt and cut down my lifestyle, I cut out everything. everything. I did a full-blown shopping ban. I stopped going on vacations. I stopped eating takeout. I lived under a rock to help me accelerate my debt-free goal, in addition to doing things like increasing my income. But I found a lot of times I really struggled with perfectionism and trying to be so perfect and so restrictive in that budget that I would often want to rebel and overspend. And these were on things that I really did enjoy, but also overall didn't really move the needle that much in my budget. We're talking like takeout coffees every once in a while, or like little croissants and whatever. Like I used to feel so guilty if I overspent in those categories, and it wasn't fun. So it took me a really long time to learn that your budget isn't always necessarily meant to be restrictive. You can really switch gears and use your budget as a tool to live the life you want to live, and to give yourself the freedom to actually spend money in those categories. So instead of trying to be as restrictive as I possibly can be in my budget, I now specifically budget for the things I know I want to spend money on. So it means I have a line in my budget for eating out. I have a line in my budget for silly little treats and coffee. I even have a line in my budget for fun. When I started being more realistic about the way I spend money and what I like to spend money on, that's when my budget started feeling a lot more free and more fun. So when it comes to managing my money and living my life, that is the system. I build my budget kind of assuming that I'm gonna be a little spontaneous, a little impulsive, a little bad. So I bake that into my numbers. And ironically, that's actually what keeps me more consistent with my budget overall. If you are planning on building the habit of budgeting, which I highly recommend you do, if you want to know how, I have this video right here. But I truly believe when you stop trying to be absolutely perfect with your money, that's when you actually stop self-sabotaging and stop setting yourself back. With this system, I find the budget just actually works for you instead of against you. This last system is about the home and just keeping it clutter-free and tidy, and that is basically doing a turn down service before you go to bed. Oh my God, there is a pigeon. Ah! Hey, go off. No. Oh my God, I literally had to chase pigeons off of my balcony while I was filming, and I got that all on the mic, so there you go. Back to the systems. That is part of my system, chasing pigeons off of my balcony. I heard it on TikTok or YouTube, but somebody said basically treat your home and your space like a hotel and give yourself a turn down service. And I loved that. My version at home of a turn down service is to make sure that the kitchen is nice and tidy, that there's no leftover dishes in the sink, the dishwasher is running. And then I just like to do little things like filling the kettle full of water so I don't have to think about it first thing in the morning at 5:30 a.m. when I'm getting ready for the gym, so I'm not rushing around. And doing things like fluffing the pillows, folding blankets, just making sure that your whole space is good to go for you to enjoy right away the next morning. Because let me tell you, there's nothing that pisses me off more than rushing around and then having a mess to deal with at the same time. So it just makes for a calmer and less distracting morning. And the other thing I find really helpful with this too is because there's no mess when I do get home from the gym and I'm ready to start my day and get to work, then I don't procrastinate. Because let me tell you, if there's a mess or something else to distract me, I'm actually going to spend time cleaning that up before I get to work on the thing that's actually gonna move the needle in my life. I don't know what it is, but I really do enjoy a good procrasticlean. So tidying up and turning down the night before really helps keep things streamlined and keeps me focused. So these are the 5 systems that I think will really help give you a full life glow up. Because when you stop doing things like relying purely on motivation to reach your goals, it's really those systems that are gonna get you there in the long run and help you become the person that you actually want to be. And when you find that system that works for you, it's easier to get there than you think. And if you want some systems that are going to give you a whole money glow up too, then watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.